what I will now talk to you about essentially a very interesting piece within the whole genre of consumer marketing, what is called content marketing. What really is content marketing? And this is a term which is being used by a lot of marketers and agencies and suppliers and partners and content creators. Yeah. So essentially, today what is happening, marketing itself is about creating brands and creating stories. And oftentimes brands are getting created by good storytelling. Every brand must have a purpose of its existence and the purpose of why it is there. And this whole existence must be told in a very nice story fashion. And even the growth of the brand has to be through a storytelling format, and the growth story itself can become a story. So the first thing is that good brands are created by great storytelling. That's the first. The format of storytelling is actually changing, and that's where content marketing comes in. Previously, around 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago, in India, there was not so much of noise and communication. So it was essentially a one-way communication between the brand to the large mass of consumers, whatever they define their TG as. So it was a one-way kind of brand monologue, if you may call. Today what is happening, with a little bit of communication power, courtesy social media and many other forms of media in the hands of consumers, it's become a dialogue. So it's a two-way communication between the consumers and the brands or the organization. That's the first thing. Second thing is the credibility of the old style of advertising and communication is slightly coming down, and therefore consumers are not just depending on advertising but are depending on the various content around the brand and category which he or she is consuming. So that's why the reason for content marketing. And in simple words, oftentimes consumers today are getting a lot of things from the internet, social media and other forms of interaction rather than the traditional consumer communication of brands. So that's again very important. And the next point is, today many of the decision making when consumers are doing, they are looking around the category, looking at feedback, looking and seeing videos, looking at reviews. So there's a lot more content which is available by which each of the consumers can take a personalized decision. So that's very important. And typically, we are in hospitality industry, and what we see is that in hospitality it is no longer about just the brand saying, but there's a large form of review, whether it's the TripAdvisor or other review platforms on social media, your personal word of mouth, your review which you get from your friends on your social media or otherwise, which consumers are utilizing for the decision making. In fact, I keep on telling a very interesting marketing fundamental today is that in the hospitality and travel industry and the leisure travel industry, people are not just doing a Google search, they are actually doing what is called a YouTube search or a video search. So the requirement of content in the form of a video becomes very important. In fact, to be a little iconoclastic, I can say that traditional one-way maybe television advertising kind of seems to be kind of dead in the long term. So even television advertising has to evolve in the way that it becomes more content rich. So it's not just about digital content, it's even in the television form, and I'm happy to say we did something in 2017 which I'll share at some other session with you, but it is about consumption of content. Across each category, people are wanting to know not just about the brand and the category, but around surrounding categories, how people have used. So one of the things of content marketing is, especially in the digital one, is one has to create content not just through brand but through partners, ensure that all these dials back to the brand and it is part of a content marketing and the SEO strategy. And as we call, there has to be a lot of backlinks and other things, and there has to be a certain credibility built around the content. Otherwise it becomes non-credible content marketing. So that's also very important, building the credibility, because consumers want to feel the real thing, really feel as it is, know what it means, the sheer nature of the industry and the brand the consumers want to feel. So that is another thing of content marketing. And the last thing which I already hit upon is, I think one of the key things of content is that people will be consuming and are consuming content on digital, and a lot of that digital content is on video. So the role of video is becoming slowly very important, not just long format video, long format copy content, but a lot of short format videos, that becomes important. So in fact, one of the roles is how do brands play in the whole ecosystem and help get partners and evangelists who really can create great video for the whole category, whether it's a travel, hospitality, or even automobiles and many other categories. That's very important. Okay, so this is just initial on content marketing. Many more things I have to say. Do write in, and thank you so much.